All right, I have 10 o'clock. So we are meeting today and we have Commissioner Holland, Moore, and Waldham that are attending via technology. Commissioner Waldham is in Puerto Rico. Commissioner Moore is down in Pine City and Commissioner Hallen is in Florida, and their addresses are noted on our agenda. We'll call the meeting to order. If you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, we have a time for public forum. Is there anybody who would like to speak public forum? Is there anybody online? Nobody? Okay. If we can have, there are no additions to the agenda. Does anybody else have any additions that they'd like to add? Matt, can we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So move, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Matt. A second? Steve, you're on mute, but I read your lips. So we got a second by
I'm
Steve.
sorry. There we go.
Are there any questions for the agenda? Matt, can we have a roll call, Deb, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren. Aye. Thank you.
And we go on to approving the minutes from February 6th. It's a regular copy and the summary for publication. We have a motion to accept that.
Holland will move that.
Thanks, Steve.
Moral second.
Thanks, Josh. We have a first and second. Are there any questions on the minutes or the summary? Not. Deb, would you do a roll call, please?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and then attached is the zoning board minutes from December 21st of 2023. And then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions about the consent agenda?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Would you want to have a motion to acknowledge the minutes from the?
Oh, yeah. Can we have a motion to acknowledge the minutes from, I thought you meant we didn't have to do anything. I'm sorry.
I'll go move to acknowledge the zoning board minutes.
Thanks, Matt. Do we have a second?
Morals.
Thanks, Josh. We have a first and second. Are there any questions for the zoning board minutes? All right, a roll call, please.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions about the consent agenda or anything that you see?
On this for a while. I'll move it, Madam Chair.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Matt. We have a second.
I'll second it. Steve.
Okay, we have a first and a second. One more chance. Any questions? We have a roll call to accept the consent agenda, Deb, please.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the regular agenda, we have the Upper St. Croix Kettle River One Watershed One Plan public hearing. Presented by Paul, I see.
Yes, by me.
We get to see you a couple times. Nice.
Yes, I'll be up here again later. So, first of all, just want to thank Pine County Board for hosting this portion of the St. Croix plan, the public hearing. We're going to be having one today, and there will be a second one next week, Monday, in Carleton County. But a special thanks for them for hosting it on behalf of the partnership. So today I'm going to do a quick review of what we have in the draft plan. It has been out for 60-day review. So there was a 60-day comment period that people could submit comments. And it's followed up by these public hearings, the first of which we will be having today. The One Watershed, One Plan is a voluntary program that aligns water planning along watershed boundaries versus the traditional county watershed planning that was in place prior to this method. Based on current and existing information and data, so this is information and data that's been collected by multiple state agencies that we've utilized. It does not create any new regulations or rules. It may encourage the creation of new regulations or rules, but it is not regulatory. After the plan is adopted, implementation funding will be available through non-competitive process. I believe it's $1.4 million for the first biennium for the Kettle and Upper St. Croix. And it relies on voluntary conservation to make progress towards measurable goals. So during this planning process, there's been 3 separate committees that have been meeting throughout the last about 2 years. The first is the steering committee, which is staff members from each of the partner groups. In this planning partnership, we have Pine County, Carlton County, Pine SWCD, Carlton SWCD, and Kanabec SWCD. The advisory committee is a larger step up. It's local stakeholders, including state agencies, topic experts, and private businesses. And they advise on the plan content and the information that's provided in it. All of that gets brought to the policy committee. Commissioner Ludwig is Pine County's representative on that committee. There's 1 representative from each entity, and they're the ones that make the decisions, the official decisions for the One Watershed, One Plan. Watershed highlights. So this is a unique watershed plan as it has 2 separate watersheds in it, the Kettle River watershed and the Upper St. Croix watershed. And I'll explain in a little bit why the Upper St. Croix watershed is included. It's about 1,500 square miles or just over 1 million acres in the state of Minnesota, and it spans 4 counties, Aitkin, Carlton, Kanabec, and Pine counties. There are also land from 2 different tribal reservations, the Fond du Lac and the Lac Band of Ojibwe. They both fall under 2 separate treaty authorities, the 1855 treaty, which is what Mille Lacs Band is under, and the 1854 treaty, which is what Fond du Lac is under. A portion of the Upper St. Croix watershed, actually about 2/3 of the Upper St. Croix watershed, is in the state of Wisconsin. Currently, there really isn't a platform for collaboration between the 2 states in this process. But once this is put in place, there is intent to reach out to any groups over there that may be interested in what we're doing on this side of that watershed. The plan format, so we selected several different topics that were highlighted that have soil and water implications, and we'll go through those here. The first area is lakes. What we did is we had separate topic meetings for each of these areas, which brought in stakeholders that have an interest in these specific areas. So for lakes, lake associations, citizens that own property on lakes, and professional individuals that work with lakes in the watershed. There are 126 lakes of 10 acres or more in the watershed. There are 17 wild rice lakes, 2 Cisco lakes, 1 trout lake. And out of 31 lakes assessed by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, 13 of those lakes do not support aquatic recreation due to high levels of nutrients, so pollution. We're focusing on protecting vulnerable lakes that are recreationally, culturally, and biologically important, and restoring lakes that are nearly or barely supporting aquatic recreation. So that's the impairment list that the state has, that nearly barely. We want to keep lakes off of that list. Our goals are to reduce phosphorus by 340 pounds, 1 pound of phosphorus is 500 pounds of algae. So that's why if you've heard me talking or anyone from Bowser or anyone from any other soil and water district talk about reduction of phosphorus, that's why it's important, because algal blooms can really cause a detriment to the health of our water. The next area are streams. Similarly, we have many streams and rivers that go through this watershed, many of which are home to rare species like wild rice, sturgeon, and freshwater mussels. There's 115 miles of trout stream in the watershed, 50 culverts that have been identified to be barriers of fish passage, hundreds of altered stream miles, and high levels of a bacteria in some stretches of these waterways. 20 of the 78 streams assessed by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency do not support aquatic recreation. And we're focusing on protecting vulnerable streams and restoring streams where human actions have been impacting the habitat. So our goal for this area is to protect and enhance 400 acres of riparian corridor in priority streams and 2,000 linear feet of priority streams to maintain healthy ecological conditions. These actions on the right show that we're hoping to restore stream reaches, protect shorelines, restore eroding banks, and assist with replacing culverts that have been identified as barriers for fish. The next area are farm and agriculture. Within the watershed, there are 77 registered feedlots. There are 27,000 animal units. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how many animals are there. There's a metric for measuring animal units. And there's 132,000 acres of farmland within the watershed. For this area, we're focusing on implementing best management practices, or BMPs, in the area with known agricultural stressors to surface waters, groundwater, and high priority lakes and streams. So our goal for farms is to treat 1,000 farm acres with soil health practices. That could be anything from no-till practices, cover crops, reduced tillage. 30 best management practices in priority areas to reduce nutrient runoff and protect soil health and water quality. And the actions on the right, again, showing different avenues to reach those goals. Forests in this watershed, of course, are high importance. There's 380,000 acres of forest in the watershed. Forest composition has changed drastically due to historic fires and logging in this area. Forests protect water quality for lakes, streams, and groundwater. So they're an essential part of protecting the natural landscape and our natural resources. Our goal is to focus protecting forests that are at risk of conservation due to other land use types, and to protect vulnerable lakes, streams, and groundwater. And we want to manage 20,000 acres. So that is active forest management that can range from forest stand improvement to brush management, invasive species removal, et cetera, and protect 10,000 acres of private forests. There's a little bit of a typo. That T is supposed to be with the forest part. High priority areas using easements, Sustainable Forest Incentive Act, or the SFIA, land acquisition, and other protection opportunities. Woodland stewardship plans, the Sustainable Forest Act, and improving forest health are some of the actions that we'll be taking for forests. Wetlands. As we all know, Pine and Carlton County have a lot of wetlands. In this watershed, there's 418,000 acres of wetland. Historic ditching of the area in peatlands has caused stress downstream in lakes and streams. Wetlands protect water quality and communities from flooding, and they provide habitat for a large variety of wildlife species. And we want to focus on protecting and restoring wetlands to improve water quality in downstream lakes and streams. So our goal is to have 30 acres of wetlands that are protected or restored in high priority areas, maintaining 60 acre feet of watershed storage. Acre feet is a metric of like kind of, what is it, square footage? So it's 30 times 2, 60 acres. Actions where we want to restore wetlands, study ditch peatlands, and protect wetlands. These ditched peatlands areas are primarily in the Carlton County stretch, so in the headwaters of this watershed, but there are peatlands in Pine County as well. Stormwater is another area that we focused on. There are 13 cities in the watershed that have a stream or lake within their city boundaries. The Moose River subwatershed has the most impervious surface and includes the cities of Moose Lake, Barnum, and Sturgeon Lake. There are no communities large enough that require to have a municipal stormwater permit. We want to focus on stormwater planning and best management practices to implement for implementation in communities with priority lakes and streams. So our goal is to complete 4 stormwater management plans and review regulations in 4 different communities, install and maintain 20 stormwater best management practices in high priority areas. So the actions on the right, stormwater best management practices include catch basins, retention ponds, rain gardens, swales, things of that nature. Groundwater is another important area in this watershed because all residents get their drinking water from groundwater supplies in this watershed. Karst geology found in the watershed is at the highest risk for groundwater contamination. Karst is a geological formation of substrate that's either, in this case, is sandstone that is that water can pass through very easily. So contamination, the risk for contaminated groundwater is greatly increased in those areas. Less than 1% of wells tested had high nitrates concentrations, and less than 3% had high arsenic concentrations. But we want to focus on protecting groundwater where it's most vulnerable to contamination. So we want to update 10 septic systems, seal 20 wells, and update and encourage for 2 ordinances to be updated. Again, we're not regulatory, but we encourage municipalities to review their ordinances. Actions are sealing unused wells, assess septic systems, mitigate risks from karst geology, education and outreach to improve ordinances aimed at protecting groundwater. This last area is an interesting one and is unique to this watershed plan. This recreation is not a required area to look at through this plan process, but it was something that was continuously brought up by different stakeholders, including the policy committee. So we decided to pull this out and create its own topic area, and that's recreation. The Kettle River is a state water trail, and in addition, there are 14 snowmobile trails and 3 state trails that run through it. There are 2 state parks, 1 scientific and natural area, 7 aquatic management areas, 8 state forests, and 20 wildlife management areas. There are 45 public boat launches at many of the lakes and rivers, so we want to focus on promoting and investing in recreational opportunities in a sustainable way. Our goal here is to increase opportunities, investment, and awareness of accessibility for public participation throughout the water basin. Actions are looking into fishing piers, recreational signs, and trail opportunities. So that's the bulk of what's in this plan, in much greater detail, but that's the kind of the major highlights. So the timeline that we're looking at for local adoption of this plan, like I said, we went through the 60-day notification. We're currently in the public hearing process today and on February 26th, so next Monday. We hope we can get the plan sent to the Bowser Regional Board March or April. It's going to be talking with Bowser. The timeline is it'll likely be the April Regional Board meeting, the North Region. After it gets sent to there, it'll get sent to the State Bowser Board for approval. This process can take up to 90 days. So we're hoping local adoption of this plan will start in late spring or early summer of this year. And like I said earlier, the watershed will receive about $1.4 million in watershed-based implementation funds for this first biennium, for this first 2 years. So that's a substantial amount of money that can make some real progress towards the goals that we talked about earlier. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Madam Chair.
So we're gonna go to county board questions and discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I have two actually. How much feedback did you get in the review local?
Yeah, so we, in the 60-day comment period, you're talking about the comment period? We received comments from Bowser, the Board of Water and Soil Resources. We had comments from the DNR, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, the Department of Health, and the Department of Ag. All of them overwhelmingly positive. There were a few language, things about language that some of the agencies would prefer altered or changed. Bowser, being the agency that oversees the funds and transfers and this whole process, had a few more technical things just to ensure that it's the best plan possible. But overall, it was overwhelmingly positive with no major changes to the plan.
And then I have one more. How is the process going to happen for if a farmer or landowner or whoever wants to access it?
Yes, so these funds are available to the partnership. We're currently in the planning phase. Once we go to implementation phase, the partners can consist of any local government unit can join this partnership. So county, soil and water districts, the tribes. Anyone who is part of this partnership has access to these funds. If a landowner is interested in participating in this or looking for a project, they would approach one of the partners, Pine Soil and Water, for instance. We would help them facilitate a plan or a project for one of the practices. If they fall in one of the priority areas, we would go to one of the committees to request funds, and it would be funneled through one of the partners. And they would work in collaboration with the landowners to get the project done.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Paul? Love how these watershed, you guys do so much work to get this far. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I'm excited that, we've kind of got the south end of the county up and running, and I'm excited to see the north quadrant now with this plan. Looks like it's moving along quite well, so I'm excited about that.
Right, we'll open up for public hearing and public testimony. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak on Kettle River One Watershed One Plan? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing. Is there any more county board discussion? And if not, can we have a motion to accept the Upper St. Croix Kettle River One Watershed One Plan?
I will move that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Matt. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Steve. One more time for comments. Go ahead.
Just, so this is the draft plan, and then the final plan will come back after it's been reviewed by the agency.
So we're just accepting the draft plan. Thank you. All right, Debbie, can you do a roll call, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lufferman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Going to move on to the facility committee report.
JJ, you want to take it?
You can take it, Matt.
You said you can take it, Matt.
Want me to take it?
He said you can take it, Matt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had our meeting on February 7th. One of the topics that came up was the 1610 building. And with the SWCD and implementation of this plan that's going to happen, they might be adding another employee that will come out of the funding to manage the things that are happening. And it's just some space issues we're dealt with. And they've already moved our forester, our land and zoning and second forester to another office that was empty, and they created one office space there. So that is in the works. We're not going to decide anything yet, but we may end up using the old boardroom or something. Yeah, we haven't quite decided, but just so that's on everybody's thing. Is we talked about the jail remodel project, and we had set aside dollars, and we have a request in with the state for 2.5 million if the bonding goes through. We don't know what's going to happen there. So in our discussion, we're preparing for at least streamlining the intake and take care of spaces. It isn't completely decided how it's going to happen yet, but we have to be able to separate. We've all heard that at this board, how we have to be able to separate classes of people that come in the jail because they can't, like a juvenile can't be within hearing range of an adult if they come in even for temporary holds, and emails have to be separate from mail. So
I have a question for you on that.
What's
As
that?
we prepare to go down to the legislative conference, we were asking for 2.5 million. So what is the best way for us to ask for that money for them to say?
Well, talk to your
We're going to be talking to them, but we want to do it
representatives.
so that the kids are in one section and they can't be heard. Do we want to use it more for that area? Are we doing it for the women's area? Are we doing it?
Separation is key
Okay.
and all inmates are classified when they come in.
Okay.
And that classification gets very complicated because it can be due to mental health. It can be due to physical health issues. It can be due to sex, age, all that. There's a lot that happens. I don't have that grid in front of me, but the jail is busy.
Okay.
So it's a constant motion. They also have issues with people coming in and hiding contraband in places. So they're looking at getting a scanner so they can't. It's hard to strip search everybody, and you can't. Doctors don't want to help us anymore. There's a whole new thing happening there. So the scanner's a priority, and
We want to make sure we ask for it in the best way.
So yeah, it takes the Department of Corrections has rules, and our jail has like specific needs due to what we have built, the old pod system, which isn't. So we have some tweaking to do, but we want to stay inside of our footprint, right? So it doesn't cost a lot of money. So, and I brought up, what's our bed count going to be? Could we change our bed count to create more space instead of having? So we don't know where it's going to end up for sure, because we look at our numbers, and you look at 5 years, and then 2 years from now we could blow up, and then what do you do? So nobody has that crystal ball. So we're trying to do our best with the moving dollars, and not have to levy a bunch of money taxpayers, because we already have a nice facility. It's just, can we make it more efficient and deal with our population that we deal with, at any given time?
Mm-hmm.
And you can never fill your jail because anything could happen on a weekend or whatever, and you always have to have room, and so it's a process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So then let's see. And we also discussed that with Carleton County building their new facility.
Mhm.
So at some point in this summer, they're going to have to move inmates. So they'll keep their hardest troubling inmates that they can handle, and we plan on helping them and hold some of their easier to manage inmates.
Okay.
In the process of it. So that's just going to happen jail to jail. It won't be anything we do as a board, but it's going to be happening. So, and then if we're in the middle of, so I don't think that'll work for us through this summer. I don't think we'll have a lot going on that'll get in the way of that, because they're known people with known classifications coming in, and they'll take the ones that they can handle. You know what I mean? So. And did I miss anything, JJ?
No, that covered it. And then there was just a little bit of talk just about some costs, what it costs to run that jail, whether you have one inmate or 10 inmates, you still need the same amount of staff there, as Rod had said. And then there's the inspection coming up here in March. I had requested to be there just to try to get a better understanding of everything that's going on, and I do plan on being there for that. But no, that did it, Matt. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Personnel report? No questions. Debbie, can you do a roll call, please?
Oh, there's no action.
Oh, there's no action. Okay.
Then we will move on to personnel.
Josh, you want to start that?
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. We did have a meeting on February 12th and made the following recommendations. In the assessor's office, acknowledge the resignation of property appraiser Jolene Seibert effective February 16, 2024, and approve the backfill of the position, any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. In the sheriff's office, ratify the separation of corrections officer Zach Yerke effective January 15th, 2024, and approve the backfill of the position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. And in Health and Human Services, acknowledge the resignation of Office Support Specialist Nola Nisley effective January 28, 2024, and approve the backfill of the position, any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. With that, I'll make a motion to approve them three things.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Matt.
So Josh made the motion, Matt seconded. Are there any questions for Josh and Matt?
I will just have one thing to add.
Yeah.
There was an open position. I think we discussed it in the accounting tech and HHS, and that's been decided to put on hold for whatever they're doing.
Okay. All right.
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldman.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we move on to a new hire for the Office Support Specialist. So that was really good timing. Are there any questions on the new hire?
That just kind of goes with our personnel committee. It came in front of us, and then the recruitment was happening and it happened. So, and I think we already approved the backfill list and everything else. This could have been, but it just came in late or after the fact.
Yeah, so good timing.
And I'll move that.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So that was Matt and Josh.
Are there any questions? Matt, can you have a roll call, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldman.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Aye.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry, I tried to steal Steve's thunder there.
And then we have the Land Advisory Committee. You want to start?
What's that?
Do you want to start the land?
No, you can start. That's like, I don't know how much detail you want to get
To
into.
require action, excuse me, we'll come back to a future meeting
Right.
for action.
Yeah.
So for conversation, the Land Advisory Committee, we did a lot.
It was a long meeting. We talked about things that we can do within the Memorial Forest to open it up after our strategic planning. We're looking at adding more campsites, some more trails.
We are talking to the Deer Association to work with them.
And there is, what's the name of that birding? The birds that are coming in and clearing so that the grouse and the
The
pheasants.
Bird Conservancy or something. Oh, what they did, they mulched the site.
No, but yeah, so the Bird Conservatory or a group like that has come in and they've done a 40-acre plot already, and they're going to be looking at doing some more, which they're going to be doing some mulching of the trees that we've had issues with, and then fixing it so that we get the grouse and the pheasants and the other birds there for bird watching or bird hunting, whichever. And along with that, oh, it's the American Bird Conservatory Project. Thank you.
And along with that, we've
American
got.
Bird Service. You got, oh, you got.
Yes, yeah. Along with that, we have 3 different construction companies that are going in and working in our forestry where we've had the trees that went down with that storm. And they've been doing a really good job with that. We're actually very blessed to have them. We decided what we're going to be selling on the land forfeited land sale. Unfortunately, due to the lawsuits down in Hennepin County, we are only selling properties that are 15 years or older, that have been forfeited 15 years or longer, so that there's no possibility right now for paybacks on that. We had a couple things that came up where we could do some land trades, and we decided at this point to hold on those. The city of Sandstone has asked for a couple pieces of property, and we decided with the new lawsuit and not knowing what's going to happen with that, we can't move forward with that either.
Right.
Can you think of anything else? Can you think of anything else?
No, just signage.
Oh, yep. Go for it.
So, yeah, so we have forest roads, memorial forest access, things like that out there. So what we're planning on doing as part of our new whole county plan too is to just put post signage that said this is public Pine County land and then there'll be some rules that'll be attached, like you can't go in there. Some will be allowed with ATVs, some may be foot. We might try to form some or create some primitive campsites and things like that in certain places that will work. But we just want to make sure we identify the access points, so when people get there, they can say, okay, this is it, if it shows up on your iPhone or whatever. And I'm not sure how the data, and I don't even know how that's supposed to work. If somebody has an OnX platform or any other platform that they use when they're out hunting, if Pine County's data is accurately laid on those plans, I don't know. I've heard stories where it's not accurate always, so we're going to make sure at least we have the signage there so it'll depict what they're driving in the general area. They'll say, okay, this is it. And then we'll identify what it is on simple sign. And we had some discussion about canoe accesses too.
Yes.
And but we don't have a lot, the county doesn't have a lot of land on the Kettle River. The DNR does. So, is it possible to open up the north end? Because I get, people are always asking, how can we canoe the north end of the Kettle, which is a beautiful river? People canoe the Sandstone to Hinckley gets canoed quite a bit, and Hinckley Park gets canoed quite a bit. The upper reaches. The middle reach is dangerous, and everybody's aware of that.
Right.
The Van State Park, that's a whitewater stretch, but that is still, we're in the works. So
we've kayaked from Rutledge down to Sandstone, and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Are there any questions?
that's pretty much it, I think.
For the Land Advisory Committee?
Yeah, I have questions.
Yep, go ahead, JJ.
So I hear right. It sounds like the direction the committee is talking about is having like a campgrounds now in this forfeited land, the memorial forest, which is forfeited land. County's gonna get into the campground business. It sounds like, or did I hear wrong?
Yes and no. We do have campsites already in some of our memorial forests, and so we'll be adding some more so that people can utilize it. It's not going to be where we're going to have somebody there collecting money for you to camp. They're very primitive, and right now they're used more by deer hunters and other hunters. But we're hoping that maybe families will take it up and do some rustic hunting and utilize the land.
When you looked into this, what were the numbers you could compare to, like Chipmunk Park, for example? How much that gets utilized in Willow? What kind of information did you get from the DNR of how much General Andrews Forest is getting used? There's sites available through there. You can recreate, you can use. How about all the other public land? I mean, I imagine you did your homework to see that there's a real need for this when we already are, I guess, funding these other government properties. What were those numbers?
We're not going to do anything that costs a lot of money.
We did, yeah, we're not doing things that are going to be expensive, but we did not check into those numbers. But what we did do is we talked about the people that have been requesting to have those sites available. So it's been public requests.
Public requests, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Look at the full report coming down the road. 2024 Aquatic Invasive Species Program. Go, Mike.
Chair and Commissioners, so today we're going to be talking a resolution before you about the 2024 Aquatic Invasive Species Plan. We have a budget, we have 122,810 coming in from the state, and 2024 plan from all requests is $182,456,000. $182,456. With the amount of money that we have in reserve, this means we'd have 85,124 left for next year and years to come. Just to go into a little bit of detail about what we're going to be working with for AAS control, Pokegama Lake Association has two different programs, both to deal with curly leaf pondweed and Eurasian water milfoil. Windermere Lake Association is going to be spending $40,000 on Eurasian water milfoil on Sturgeon and Stan Lakes. And the Cross Lake Association will be has two different programs again to deal with the curly leaf pondweed and Eurasian milfoil. As far as monitoring goes, the Wild Rivers Conservancy will be partnering with them again. They'll be doing early detection of the zebra mussels and the spiny water fleas. They'll also be carrying out a Rivers Are Alive program, which they did last year. And this year they're asking for a little bit less money. Last year they asked for $10,000. This year they're just asking for $7,500. And they'll be working with schools and youth groups in order to do outreach to talk about conservancy programs. With prevention, the Pine County will once again be doing a watercraft inspection program. We've got our applications out, and we've been getting the applications in already. So we've got $36,756 for that. And then as we'll be spending the same amount on education for the county side, $1,000 for giveaway items, $1,000 for the countywide advertising campaign. Cross Lake Association will be spending the same amount as last year for AAS materials to outreach to the residents and visitors. And the Big Pine Lake Association is asking for $557, up $57 from last year's $500 request. The AAS coordinator, that's a 0.25 full-time equivalent, is $28,913. And again, the general, like we did last year, they're asking for, Wild Rivers Conservancy is asking for $1,000 more for general support for their AIS programs. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I don't see any.
I will move
We have a motion from Matt.
I will move resolution 024-08.
I will second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Matt, a second by Steve. Are there any
questions, comments? Matt, Deb, would you do a roll call, please?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
Going to go on to the Pine Soil and Water District, success on the Lower St. Croix watershed base. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for doing this. This is an exciting story. I like this.
Yeah, this is a good one. So, we have been working with landowners across the county. I mean, that's our job at the Soil and Water District. But we have had really great success this last year that we're going to be talking about. And I will be talking about our success with utilizing watershed-based implementation funds in the Lower St. Croix partnership, which is a watershed plan that is already in action. So similar to the Kettle Upper St. Croix, like I was talking about earlier, the Lower St. Croix watershed is in the implementation phase and has been for several years. So we're going to quick talk about a few things, and then we'll get to Randy Kinsey, a landowner in that watershed, and the success he's had and the success and how that has been highlighted at a state level. So the Soil and Water District, just a quick look for those that are not familiar, the Pine Soil and Water Conservation District was established in 1958. We service the entire county of Pine County, which is the 13th largest county in the state, which is 1,435 square miles. About 23 square miles or 2% of that is water. The population is roughly 30,000. It's a very rural population, like most of you in this room know. Our largest city is just over 3,000 people. So we have a very rural population that are in many different landscapes. Currently, we have 5 staff, full-time staff at the district with a Pheasants Forever biologist working 2 days a week out of our office. And the other 3 days works out of the Natural Resource Conservation Service office in Hinckley. The county has a diverse landscape that creates a range of resource concerns for landowners. So 4 of the major ones are forestry, water resources, wetlands, and agriculture. We're in a transitional area of the state that goes from developed in agriculture into a more natural landscape. So we have a really unique opportunity to address a lot of different resource concerns here. Pine SWCD has 4 comprehensive watershed management plans. Like I had talked before, we talked about the Kettle and Upper St. Croix in great length. That's the last of the 4 to go online, so to speak. It's the last one to be to go through the planning process and be adopted. The Nemadji and the Lower St. Croix have been running for about 4 years now. And the Snake just received its first round of implementation funds late last year. So we are rocking and rolling. So the Lower St. Croix watershed in Pine County is, I don't know, does the laser work? Oops, no. Anyways, the Lower St. Croix is that smaller portion on the southern part of the county. As you can see, the other watersheds highlighted as well. The biggest chunk, the Kettle Upper St. Croix, but we're gonna focus on that smaller southern part of the county. It's about 78 square miles of the county or the watershed. It's about 8.5% of the watershed entirely. And that watershed is a long, narrow watershed that travels all the way to the North Metro area, where the St. Croix River meets the Mississippi River. And it's about 5% of the county of Pine County in total. So not a very large portion, but we do have the vast majority of our agriculture, our row crop agriculture in that part of the county, that southern part of the county. The Lower St. Croix Watershed Partnership is the group that operates the watershed plan funds. It has 17 partners, I believe, counties, soil and water districts, watershed districts, a couple special governing units. It kind of gets complicated down in the metro area, all the different governing units that are part of the partnership, but working together, we've had a lot of great success, including here in Pine County. The Hinsey Farm, like I talked about, we're going to highlight that. We've done several different types of projects, but today we're going to focus on the projects on Randy Hinsey's property. Randy is a 3rd-generation farmer. He has about 400 acres of row crop fields. And he started no-till in those fields in 2005. Currently, he is 100% no-till. No-till is a farming practice, the best management practice that allows you to plant your fields without the conventional tilling, which reduces exposed soil and soil erosion loss due to wind or water. And loss of nutrients on those fields. So you have a healthier, more robust organic layer where all the nutrients is held. He operated a dairy farm until 2020, but he still keeps a small herd of steer for direct marketing and personal use. Randy's conservation work spans a lot of different areas, conservation areas. He's Minnesota Ag Water Quality Program certified. That's what the MAWQP stands for 3 years. That's a state program through the Department of Agriculture that recognizes ag producers who are going above and beyond what is necessary in the state of Minnesota, and recognizes their work in reducing their impact on the environment. He's installed filter strips, water and sediment control basins, and pollinator habitat with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And he's incorporating cover crops into his operation, which is another practice that helps increase soil health and reduces the amount of exposed soil. Most of those cover crops have been cereal rye and radishes up to this point. So talking two particular projects that we assisted with through the Lower St. Croix Partnership Funding Avenue is a livestock exclusion fence and buffer strip on Rock Lake. He does have property that butts up right to Rock Lake, and construction of a water and sediment control basin in one of his fields, or a series of sediment control basins. The livestock exclusion fence and buffer strip was installed in the fall of 2021. The project was designed through the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Program and was funded by the Lower St. Croix Partnership. So Commissioner Ludwig asked earlier how a landowner accesses those funds. We were approached by Randy and Ryan Clark, who is the Ag Water Quality staff person that works in this area, for funding opportunities. And we went to the Lower St. Croix Partnership to request these funds to get this project done. The goal was to install this fence to keep cattle out of Rock Lake, and the native buffer strip was added to restore and protect the shoreline. So the first picture, the picture on the left, highlights what the majority of the shoreline along the lake is. It's very vegetated by native vegetation and emergent wetlands, trees, and other plant materials, which helps protect the shoreline from erosion and helps catch runoff from the upland before it enters into the lake. The picture on the right is after the posts have gone in. As you can see, that's where the cattle were going in and out of the lake. There's little to no vegetation. You can see that right along the shoreline is just bare soil from the cattle going in and out of that area. So it's really degraded shoreline, and having cattle in water increases the risk of bacterial impairments, primarily E. coli. So it is a health hazard to wildlife and to humans. The goal is to plant a native buffer strip that'll have native vegetation growing there that will restore that shoreline. As you can see in the picture on the right as well, there's a pair of trumpeter swans. So the lake is used by wildlife. The estimated reductions, pollution reductions, this is what we focus on, is 1.17 tons of sediment a year and 1.7 pounds of phosphorus a year. Again, the pounds of phosphorus seems little, but again, 500 pounds of algae per pound of phosphorus. And again, one of the main priorities for this project was to reduce the risk of E. coli impairments in the lake, which is not measured in those reductions. There's a couple more pictures after the fence was fully complete. As you can see, the fencing is in. There is a gate for access for the Hinsey family to use the lake recreationally, as well as allowing the cattle, once the strip is established, the cattle are going to be allowed to flash graze it, which means putting cattle out there for a very short period of time to graze it. So it simulates what native grazing species would have done. So a natural cycle of those native plants. And again, there's geese staging in the lake as they begin their migration south. The next project is the water and sediment control basin installations. These were installed last spring, so spring of 2023. These designs were created by Natural Resource Conservation Service engineers. So these are an engineered practice, meaning there is some measurements, some control that needs to be built into it. So you have to be a certified engineer to design these. About 60% of this project was funded through the Lower St. Croix Partnership. Again, we were approached by Randy and the Natural Resource Conservation Service to see if we had funds to assist with this. And again, we approached the partnership and were able to secure funding for this. Water and sediment control basins are designed to reduce oversurface water flow on fields and repair gully formations. As you can see in this picture, a gully is forming. If you look beyond the dozer, you can see a line of trees, and just beneath it is a small pond and wetlands. So this field had runoff going directly into that wetland and that small pond, and that pond drains directly into Rock Creek. So it was a direct avenue for sediment and phosphorus to enter our water base. Because of the building of these water and sediment control basins, the estimated pollution reductions were 18 tons of sediment and 20 pounds of phosphorus. So these had major reductions by installing these basins. And in the next pictures, I can kind of explain what these basins are. First of all, they're not very exciting to look at. This field is at a slope going down towards that wetland, and water was running off into that wetland. What these basins are designed on the right, you can see a berm in the far right part of the picture. Those berms slow down the water and trap it. The water is drained down through that orange tube is a filtered pipe, and it's taken beneath the surface, which reduces the speed of the water flow and also catches sediment and phosphorus. And it drains out on the other side of that basin as much cleaner water into that waterway. Randy also was gracious enough to host the Pine SWCD Conservation Cookout. This is something we've done the last couple of years, is getting ag producers together and talking about agricultural practices. And what better way for other farmers to learn about these than hearing from other farmers. He's very willing to share and encourage others to try these practices. He showcases his operation and shares his success and failures with other farmers on these conservation practices. They don't always work. It's not a one size fits all. Sometimes you have to try a couple things to find out what works on your property and on your practice. He allows other producers to see what these practices, to show that these practices can work and that there are multiple options available. Sometimes the best way to understand some of these practices is getting out there and seeing what they actually are doing on the landscape. And he discusses his team that he puts together to help him in his success. He is very willing to point out that he doesn't know everything, but he has connected himself with the right individuals to make sure that he's successful. And he's very willing to share that success with his team, which is, I think, a really incredible thing. And it's farmers learning from farmers. Like I said before, egg producers would much rather listen to another farmer on how things work than listen to me drone on about stuff that I know in practice, but don't understand the real impacts of it. And we like to give credit where credit is due. In 2023, we nominated Randy and his family as the Pine County Outstanding Conservationist. Each soil and water district is able to nominate an individual in their community who is doing outstanding work. And we thought Randy fit that to a T. That led for him to be eligible to win our area Outstanding Conservationist. We are in Area 3, which is the northeast part of the state. We are the most southern part of the area, which he won that as well, which allowed him to be eligible for the Minnesota Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts State Outstanding Conservationist, which he won, which we are ecstatic about and thrilled. And, Randy was really taken back by it and was, he got up there and the first thing he says, I don't know what I'm doing that everyone else here that was nominated isn't doing. So, you know, very humble man, but very deserving of the award and the recognition. These funds have real impacts. The watershed-based implementation funds is making a real difference to landowners of the Lower St. Croix watershed. And as we see these other watersheds come online, we expect to see the same thing. Success of this partnership, the Lower St. Croix partnership, depends on the willingness of landowners like Randy. We can dream and talk and plan about doing the right thing, but if we don't have landowners that are willing to buy into these practices and are willing to take a chance with us, we're not going to accomplish our goals. So it's really great to highlight landowners who are willing to do that with us and have had great success doing it. Watershed-based implementation funds open up opportunities for districts like Pine Soil and Water Conservation District to better serve their communities and reach measurable goals. Historically, our budget here at the district and many other rural districts has been small, and we've been able to only help a handful of landowners every year. Having these funds available is going to really expand that and allow us to serve a lot more landowners in a lot more efficient way. So we're really excited about it. Thank you. And I'll take questions. If anyone has questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Paul? Go ahead, Steve.
Madam Chair, I just want to thank Paul for being, you know, at the table at the Lower St. Croix watershed meetings and taking the bull by the horn and saying, you know, it's not, I know it's great to win awards but I think they're doing it because they see an opportunity to make things better and without being bold and trying stuff, just like Randy said on his farm, you got to try some stuff and sometimes it always doesn't work. I think our Pine Soil and Water District is fits in that category also. So this is a whole new ball game for them, these watershed districts. And I just I've worried since day one that they will have enough capacity as we roll out these other watershed districts, because we've done great things with this very small part of Pine County. And now we're rolling out big swaths of Pine County in these watershed districts, which will have many opportunities for them. So thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
So out of 87 counties, are there 87?
There's a 88, I believe. Hennepin and Ramsey do not have one, but there are a few counties that have multiple. For example, St. Louis County has 2 districts because it's so large.
Well, that's pretty impressive, what the work that you did with the family to get that award.
Yeah, and I have to give credit to our staff person, Heather Donahoe, who worked with Randy to get that application in. You know, again, like you said, it was a lot of work in itself to get that application in, and to again, we wanted to be as competitive as possible because like Commissioner Hallen said, not because we want to win the award, but we want to make sure that Randy got that recognition that he deserved.
I think along with Randy, it's your office too. You know, and his team. You know, he's got a team that he works with, which is pretty. Thank you so much for coming and sharing today.
Thank you very much.
So we will move on to number 8, the letter of support for Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. And we do have Beth Gruber on the phone from Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures if we have any questions for her. But we have been working with Mille Lacs since 2022. They are working to develop a business park in Hinckley, south of Highway 48 and east of 135. The county participated in a feasibility study, which was completed in 2022, and the band had previously applied for congressional direct spending. The initial application was unsuccessful, and the band desires to reapply. And so we would like to do a letter of support to hopefully help them move forward with this.
Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask Beth about this project while she's online?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to offer a motion to send a letter of support.
Sounds good. Thank you, Steve. We have a second?
I'll second.
Question.
Steve and Matt, and then we'll go to questions. JJ.
Yeah, maybe she could answer. Look, back in June of 2022, Mille Lacs Band received a $3.1 million grant from the U.S. Department of Commerce. Just curious if any of that money could be used towards this project. That grant was looked like focused towards Onamia. I just wondered if that entire grant was used.
Thank you, Commissioner Waldman. Beth Gruber, Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures, Director of Planning and Community Engagement. That grant that you're talking about, that 3.2, was from the EDA. It was a federal grant, and it was for the renovation of 2 existing buildings, one in Hinckley, which is, I guess would be south of where Toby's is. It's that kind of that little strip mall down there at the end where SCI Broadband and East Central Regional Arts Council is in. So it's to renovate that space, and then also one space in Hinckley. That project is with the bid documents are with the EDA and the city officials right now reviewing them, and we hope to go to bid within the next 8 days and then start construction this summer.
And it was 3.2 million you had received. It wasn't the 3.1.
Correct. 3.1 something.
Were this letter of support? Now this parcel of property, it says south of 48, next I-35. Is that property that currently pays property taxes in Pine County, or is it part of a property
Yes.
that is not?
It is.
I apologize.
Yes, it is property that we are paying taxes on. It is not a trust property; it's fee property.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Beth? We have a motion by Steve and a second by Matt to accept or to send a letter of support from Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Debbie, would you do a roll call, please?
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming online, Beth. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I appreciate it.
Have a good day. We're going to move on. I see Leslie is on. We're going to talk about Pine County Early Childhood expansive initiatives.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Sauter, your Economic Development Coordinator. And before you, we have a request to basically apply for some deed funding to expand some childcare opportunities in Pine County. So some of the background on this project is that a couple years ago, First Children's Finance, with help from East Central Regional Development Commission, conducted a childcare study on Pine County and the surrounding counties in East Central Minnesota. With that study, they identified, the need for additional slots, and they engaged with us to do a strategic planning process on how we were going to address that shortage in childcare slots. So part of that work has evolved into this partnership between Pine County, Pine Technical and Community College, Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures, the Hinckley-Finlayson School District, for the expansion and build out of 3 different childcare centers in Pine County. So DEED recently released this RFP, and it has people across the state excited about it. We are equally excited about it here in Pine County because this will be an opportunity for us to actually make some of these hard to fly projects get off the ground. So the 3 centers that we're talking about is an expansion of Pine Tots, which is currently located in Pine Technical and Community College. They're going to move it a couple blocks to the north to where the Lakeside Student Housing and Student Center will be. They'll be able to add more slots for younger children to their center. So that will help them meet the needs of their current customers, because right now they have families who drop off their infants and toddlers in one location and then bring their toddlers and early childhood or pre-K readiness folks or kids to the Pine Tots location. So that'll help meet that need. And then the project that Beth actually just spoke about, the renovation to the building in Hinckley, there is going to be a space there, which will be a startup space for a child care center in Hinckley. And the Hinckley-Finlayson School District was identified as one of the regions in our county with the largest deficit for child care slots and the highest needs. So we had been focusing on the Hinckley area for a while, and this partnership with Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures seemed to make sense with the EDA grant they got to build out the space. So we'll be requesting deed funds to help furnish the space, because that is an equal, if not more expensive endeavor when you're starting up a child care center. So that will help that new person coming into that space start off a little bit more in the green than in the red. Because as we've heard through some of these studies at child care centers, it's hard to make them cash flow and turn a profit. And then the third center will be a partnership with the Hinckley-Finlayson School District. They have some space that is unused in their Finlayson Elementary School. And so they are working to convert that space into kind of like a toddler room, so that they can offer another 17, I think, slots in the Finlayson area. So we are just looking for permission to apply and authorize the county administrator and board chair to execute the necessary documents to apply for these funds. Because typically we get about a month to throw the proposal together and get it submitted to the state. Other point worth mentioning is that this grant that we're applying for allows for a 10% administrative budget. So Pine County, as the fiscal host of it and the primary project lead, we will be able to take some of those funds to help pay for the cost of administering the grant funds out to these partners.
Thank you, Leslie.
You bet.
Are there any questions?
I got one quick one.
Go ahead, Josh.
Do you know roughly how many slots this would add? Or that's still developing?
It's still developing, but I would say, typically when you build out a full center, you can get anywhere from 50 to 60 slots. I think Pine Tots will be adding maybe a dozen, and then the Hinckley-Finlayson at 17. So we're looking at anywhere from, on a low end, 50 to an upper end of maybe 80.
In that Pine Tots location, is that going to go in that old clinic there kind of thing? Is that what they're thinking?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Good. Are we looking for a motion?
Go for it.
I'll move this.
Thanks, Josh. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Steve. We have a first and a second. Are there any other questions on this project? Right. We have a first and a second to authorize the board or the administrator and the chair to execute necessary documents
to apply and accept funding. That's exciting. Thank you for doing that, Leslie.
You do a roll call, please, Deb.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Working on economic development agreement with the city of Pines. You want to talk about that?
Madam Chair, Leslie will take this one as well.
Oh, go Leslie.
Good morning, it's me again, your Economic Development Coordinator. In front of you is an agreement with the City of Pine City that we drafted after having a conversation with them as they were experiencing some turnover at City Hall. This is an opportunity for the county to help fill a gap that they have in services, and also kind of foster a better or stronger relationship with one of our cities where there is a lot of development in their community. So, I mean, that's the premise behind this agreement. And we're hoping that, this will just help strengthen some of their projects, and as well as like our relationship with our cities throughout the county, to show how the county can augment and fill gaps and needs.
My understanding is that this agreement is based off of one that we had done a bit ago when you were hired and they needed help to continue going until they could replace you.
Yes.
And even to help the new person to move forward with that, correct?
Correct. And this one, yes, was adjusted a little bit because the previous one encompassed some of the projects that I was working on, but also dipped into just general city administration. This one is specific to economic development.
Does anybody have any questions on this?
How much time do you think it's gonna take? You know, like weekly, monthly, or whatever? That's my only question.
That is yet to be determined, but we did throw kind of like a window, I guess, a parameter out there. I'm guessing it'll be no more than maybe 8 hours a week when things are hot and heavy, but up to maybe 32 hours a month at the most. Depends on how many projects they have going that need help.
You're comfortable with that?
I am for now. I feel like we wrote the agreement well enough that we can revisit it should it become too much or goes outside the parameters. So I think for now, yes, I am comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're gonna maintain her and make sure that she's, okay, perfect. So do we have a motion to accept this agreement with the
I'll
city?
move that.
Thanks, Steve. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Josh. We have a first and second, last chance for questions.
I got one quick one.
Okay,
Well,
yes.
Maybe. You think this is going to be temporary, or you think this might just be a collaboration going forward?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Moore. Right now, it is a temporary agreement that would conceivably have an end date once they get up to speed. I think that the city might be interested in having conversations about a longer term relationship, but I think they have enough questions that there are other issues that they're working on right now that it's just hard to have that conversation. And so I think if we're comfortable having the perspective that we can be the stopgap, and then depending on how that stopgap works, it could potentially evolve into a longer term relationship. And if the stopgap doesn't work, then it doesn't need to evolve into a longer term.
Makes sense.
And I do think when we were working on this way back before Leslie, I think that was kind of part of what one of the big things to move economic development forward in the county was pretty much kind of like this. Not saying that the cities wouldn't have their own effort as well, but this is awesome. I think it really is working good. My only fear is that this ain't going to be the only one. Other cities might decide that Leslie does a great job and the county does a great job and might want to recruit her for that. And then we might just have to revisit, just see how much time and effort to focus on our own stuff too. But anything we do in Pine City helps the county as well. So it definitely is fitting in what my thoughts of this position was. So thank you everybody involved to move this forward and work on it.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Leslie, you had commented there a little bit that this also, I would imagine, worked the same if you get any other city that wants the same thing.
Yeah.
Correct. Pretty much.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, hearing no further questions, we have a motion by Steve and a second by Josh. Debbie, would you do a roll call, please?
District 3, Chair Lofgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldam.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to consider adoption of resolution 2024-06, setting a public hearing to hear the complaint of an impassable road in the town of Arna and appointing a hearing officer. We had made the motion at our last meeting to move forward with this. Today, we need to set the date and approve the professional services. So the date that we are looking at would be at our March 19th meeting. So we'll have our meeting in the morning, and this would take place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that meeting will be in Pine City due to elections being the meeting before. And then to approve the professional services of Richard Hodson, attorney of law. Are there any questions on this?
I have one.
Go ahead, Matt.
2 motions or 1 motion?
2 would be preferred since there's a resolution and a professional services agreement.
Are there any other questions?
I could if I can there, Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead, JJ.
And maybe Matt could even help with this with his prior experience. When I read through this and looked at it and I heard when we were at our last meeting, it sounds like it's two vehicles are blocking the road and debris placed by somebody. Is that really what it is? And if that's the case, why wouldn't this just be a simple removing the obstruction?
Please, can I refer this one to that question?
A lot more to it, I guess.
Sure.
I'm gonna have Reese answer that one for you. Okay, JJ?
Yep. Thank you.
So Commissioner Waldem, it's a township road. So the town would have authority to remove any items that are blocking that roadway. I have not viewed it myself, but I understand it is a large amount of debris and some vehicles blocking this roadway, and that the township has indicated that they weren't going to remove that items. And so I think that their next step, and I believe that some of these citizens consulted with attorney, was to go bring this up to the county through this impassable road statute.
Yeah, because if any other road, I guess it was a county road blocked, it would just be a simple tow and impound situation, I would think, to clear to make passage, to make it accessible. I was just trying to get some clarity here.
A break in.
Yeah. It's we're not catching all of your words, so we're trying to piece them all together, JJ. Sorry. I think part of the other problem with this is that there's personal conflicts in that township, which are making it difficult for the township to be able to do what they need to do. And so they're going outside of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead, Matt, or Josh, sorry.
So, and I missed the last meeting when we kind of brought this up, so I apologize about that. But does this get charged back on the landowner, or is this just something the county eats, or does the township pay? How's that work?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Moore. So the hearing process is at the county's expense. The actual work, should the county board order work, can be assessed back to the township.
Thank you.
Questions? Now, can we have a motion for the date of March 19th at 1 o'clock at the Pine County Courthouse?
And to adopt resolution 2024-.
Yeah. Move.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ludwig will move 2024-06.
Okay, we got Matt, and who said second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. A motion by Matt and a second by Steve. Any other questions on this? Yep, can you do a roll call, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lufgren.
Aye. Then we need a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Richard Hodgson.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Josh. We have a first and a second. Are there any questions? Okay, Deb, can you do a roll call, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lufgren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving forward to the fourth quarter 2023 budget updates.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dave Minke, County Administrator. And Ryan, are you able to share the graphs? Perfect. So this, the year has ended, the accrual period has not. So that will run through March. So every number that exists today with regard to the 2023 budget has the potential to change. So just bear that in mind. Everything is preliminary, but there is some value to taking an early look at how did the year end. And chart 1 shows Everything looks like it ended pretty well. In the general fund, revenues were quite a bit higher, 9% higher than budget. That's being driven by some one-time revenues. There's $800,000 of public safety aid in there. There's some probation aid that was one-time aid, and so that's spiking that a little bit. We are planning to spend those funds next year. So no worries, but that's why the graph looks like there's more revenue. And then on the spending side, we know the tax and CAMA system was a big expense that was not in the operating budget. So overall, the general, the health and human services, the road and bridge look very healthy and kind of ended where we expected. On the next graph, we show revenue. And this is where you can see in the general fund, where planning and zoning is a bit high. That was a natural resources block grant. The public safety aid is driving the sheriff's office, and the probation aid is driving the probation. So they look like they were way over budget on the revenue. So obviously that's good news, but it's not like it's extra money. It's money that we have programmed to spend next year. Chart 3. These are the expenses in the general fund. And I think, you know, every quarter we would do the update. And I think over time we have gotten very close on our budgeting to the point where we've taken out the slack that's there. And so some departments will be a little bit over, some departments will be a little bit under. That's what we expect. The recorder at that 185%, that's driven by the tax and CAMA systems. That's spending of reserves or planned spending of reserves. Planning and zoning looks a little bit high on the spending at 114%. That's the septic grant program. And so those are targeted spending or spending of reserves. And then the recycling contract, as we've discussed previously, was higher than budgeted, but we maintained it. And so you see that is spent at 111% on the solid waste and recycling. And then the last graph just looks at health and human services, their major functional areas, income maintenance, social services, and public health. Everything looks about where we expected it to come out, and there are no significant concerns. So the first cut after the end of the year, things look like they came out about as we had budgeted them, which is good news.
Any questions for David?
I just got one quick one.
Go ahead, Josh.
Veteran services was at 86%. Was that just, we were without a assistant there for a while, right?
Yes, we had a vacancy.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dave? All right. Well, thank you for sharing. We'll move forward to commissioner updates. Do you want to talk about the leadership forum, Matt? The schools?
I can, yes. Yeah, second. Let me find it. It's great.
I'll start then and add. Okay.
I got it.
So
yeah, we had our meeting February 7th. And of course, what do you think the number one topic is going to be? It's the SRO, right?
Yes.
Right.
So, what impressed me the most is the schools so want them. And I don't understand the conflict in the statute. I'm not even going to begin to try to, but there's some hang up between the legislature thinks they're there for discipline and they're not there for discipline and they don't want to be involved in school disciplines instead of whatever, but a lot of things there's a lot of things moving in that, and then the holds and the restraints and so anyway, the school is so in favor of SROs, and it's not for discipline, it's just for when they're needed. And I think there's a safety layer to that.
Yes.
And things like that. And it brings a more instant response when there is an issue instead of, someone run onto a phone. You don't have to tell us. It's in the building type thing. And then I asked at some point in the meeting, how's the truancy going? Because it's always been a problem. And it was running like 10%. And it seemed like that was a common percentage throughout. And I don't know if that's good or bad, or if that's a standard that is just there now. Seems high to me still. 1 in 10. And then the other thing, I asked about was how the court thing is working in the school. And it's a great program. And it's the compliment of the judge and the system that is set up by Reese and all the things that are in place. And that seems to be working quite well. You can take the rest if you want. So I kind of handle the public safety side of it where my interest really live.
Well, mine is, we went through our strategic planning. Dave did a presentation on that and it was really good. One of the things that we talked about with the changes of what we're looking at doing with our memorial forest, making them more user friendly so that people know what's there. We asked the schools what we could do to help them to utilize that land. And one thing that they brought up was the need for incoming teachers to know what we have available. That might help them to get more staff, I'm thinking, or just to show them what they can do to keep them active and outdoors here, which was, I thought that was a good idea. And then we talked about legislative concerns, how like free meals for kids were going and that type of stuff.
Negative.
Yeah, negative is right. It was kind of interesting. Steph was saying that a lot of kids still bring their lunches because they like their lunches better, but for them to get a free carton of milk, they have to take the whole free lunch, throw the lunch in the garbage to take their carton of milk, which is absolutely stupid because otherwise you have to pay for your milk. And so that's for them to get their free carton of milk is they waste a whole lunch. And it's on the taxpayers in Minnesota. So it's
that needs to be fixed.
It's not very well planned, not very well planned. So that's what we've got there. The law library.
Yeah, we did have a meeting. Basically, we just talked about a couple books that were missing and well, if we're going to replace them and maybe thin some of it down a little bit because there's so much online stuff that we pay a lot of money for every month and year for access that maybe we don't need some of this print anymore. So that's coming forward in a future meeting. But that was
Thanks,
about
Josh. Extension.
It was a great meeting. We had some great reports and we got really great staff that have been doing, I think, really yeoman's work. One of the things that we can expect to come is a new memorandum of understanding, and that's how we pay for our extension personnel, where we have a statewide agreement that is negotiated by representatives from the AMC County Association and the University of Minnesota. So when we hire a extension educator like Sarah, we don't negotiate with her personally. She gets on a salary schedule at the University of Minnesota, and then we pay that amount that has been negotiated statewide. It's a long-standing agreement. I don't know, it goes back 100 years or something, and it seems to work. One thing that we know is that because of inflation, those costs have been driven up. The other thing that we know is that for a while, those people that were hiring into extension there were an exorbitant amount of new staff. So it kept the overall cost down. Those staff are maturing now, they're staying around or whatever. And so that average cost is going up. So we can expect that we're going to pay a little more. The amount that we pay for extension is small in our budget. So I don't think it's a showstopper for us at all. Sarah has done a wonderful job with getting new 4-H members, first timers, people that didn't grow up in a 4-H family involved with 4-H. And it's not all about, dairy cows, because there aren't any left in the county, so to speak of. And that used to be a big part of, the projects were dairy and beef animals, and it's just not there anymore. But they do a lot of other things, so we're happy about that. And then Katie's our ag educator. I tell you what, she's a go-getter, and she has a lot of things going on. And you know, I think it helps. Both Sarah and Katie are homegrown, grew up in Pine County, so they have that background. And Katie grew up on a beef farm, and so she's got some instant credibility with the beef farmers. They put on a lot of good programs for those people. Master Gardeners is a solid program for Pine County. Huge numbers. And then our SNAP educator works with a lot of our school age children and helps with nutritional classes and such. What did I miss, Terry?
I went in Josh's place, which was nice to go again. Katie we have our Farm Family of the Year that is going to be presented. It's Medicine Creek Farms out of Finlayson. And it sounds like they just have an amazing farming business going on there. And then the other thing that really got me, Steve, was, you know, you talk about how our solid waste is starting to fill up at the landfill. They were talking, it was a gentleman out of way up north. I can't, Finland. Okay. And he was talking about how their solid waste plant is getting so full that they're going to be taking their solid waste from Lake County, so almost the Canadian border, down into the Twin Cities because there's no place else to put it. So when Steve talks about, you know, we've got a problem coming up, it's really getting serious in some of our neighboring counties. And it's something that we do need to pay more attention to. So, moving on, Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. There's a lot of talk about AI. They're going to have AI writing grants coming up. There's going to be an AI, right now the tentative date is May 17th from 9 to 11, and it's going to be an online, hoping to have 2 presenters there. So hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of information with that. We did hire a new director for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, and her name is Dina. And she has been doing an amazing job for that business for years. And so it's exciting to see her in that new spot and see where the direction is going to go with that. East Central Solid Waste Commission, speaking of.
Yeah, we did have a meeting. I think it seems like I've been talking about this new permit forever, and it's still being worked on. It's in the 90-day window of response back from the Pollution Control Agency, and I think they always take 89 of those 90 days to get back to you.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but we have it's double frustrating because we have a bid ready to go for a lot of earth moving, and because that's what it takes. And until we get that permit in our hand, really, we can't put those bids out on the street. So that hopefully will get done so that we can bid that project out in early summer. And then we're redoing some gas piping to capture the methane gas from the landfill. And as we're putting the trash in, there's some new methods of placing piping to do a better job of getting that gas. And they're actually drilling some new wells to capture the gas. They get watered out and collapse and that sort of thing. So they periodically have to keep rejuvenating that system. That's about it.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Matt. Yep.
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
So I think I asked you this before. Is it my understanding that the construction demolition gets put in our landfill there, or the PIC landfill? You know,
Yeah.
You know, like if someone knocks down a house or a garage, it gets hauled into your spot.
Yep.
So what would be the impact of if you could just remove construction debris from the household? Does that get discussed there?
Yes, it's been discussed and we're looking at maybe some opportunities. Carlson Timber has kind of getting into some of that, and they're doing it with the transfer station in Carleton County and in the city of Duluth. So we're going to have a conversation with them about how they do that, and would it help us? Because the other problem is there's a big demo, we call it the demo pit, that's a privately run pit east of Rush City, and it's an online facility. That person that owns that is elderly, and he's not going to be able to continue that. When he sells that, the new facility, from what I understand, is going to have to, if they open up another cell down there, it'll have to be lined. Well, once you do that, you're really almost to the same standards as a solid waste facility. Okay. And that's what we've found at Mora. We've for years run an online facility for construction demo, but if you got to have a line facility, and we already have a line facility for household waste, yeah, they might as well go in the same pit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Steve? East Central Regional Library, they almost got stuck with the fishing, which was kind of interesting because we were able to talk about how we had talked here that there's 10,000 hits a day, you know, and just to open the realization that we really do need to be cautious about what we're opening up. Otherwise, they're looking at doing a strategic planning, so there'll be a meeting coming up on that to read all of the proposals that they got. And then legislative day for the library is February 26th, if anybody's interested in going. Towards Zero Death.
I went to that meeting last week. This meeting, the one we had in January was very well attended. The one we had in February wasn't so well attended. Maybe we had it in Sandstone, and so the majority of the people that came to the first one were from the Pine City area. So we're trying to spread it around the county because it's a county-wide towards Zero Death. But I think maybe the biggest topic of conversation was crosswalks within cities. It's like nobody pays attention to them. And the representatives from the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department were there. They understand that issue completely. Speed is an issue ongoing. And then with the construction of the County Road 9 bridge on the east side of Cross Lake, it'll push all the farm machinery at spring planting time through downtown Pine City. And so I've talked to the city council members. It's going to be on their agenda this week, I believe, to extend the winter parking ban on the streets. They got a parking ban for snowplow removal. You can't park on the streets till 6 a.m. I think in the morning, and so we'll give those farmers that window of opportunity to move their big tillage equipment through, because it's a county road going down Main Street and then towards Cross Lake, so they can get out to their farms. Not a big deal, but it is a big deal. So
yeah,
can't go on the freeway.
No, and it's it's a bottleneck place. There's most towns, you know, you can get around going through a town on county roads and township roads, but with the river and the lake and you know, a limited amount of bridges, it limits that opportunity, and equipment has gotten really big. And so if you're pulling a quad track with a folded up 45-foot field cultivator, you need some room.
Going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Chemical Health Coalition. I'm sitting here trying to find an agenda and find notes, and I'm not finding anything. So I apologize. It was a basic meeting. We talked about our finances are good, where they were at, what's upcoming training things, and I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank on the rest.
That's okay.
But I was there. So does anybody have any others? So I do have a couple others. I went to a tribal state relations meeting, and what I was thinking that it was going to be and what it was were two different things, but it talked a lot about the federal Indian laws and how they came into it and when their treaties were signed. The Ojibwe negotiated in 16 different treaties with federal governments. I thought that was interesting for us. Minneapolis and Bloomington was part of the ceded areas in the treaty. So it talked about the treaties and how where they were established and why they were established, you know, thinking that they were going to be getting the bad land. It was interesting getting that history to where our tribes came from. And the other one that I have is I went to the Human Service Leadership Forum. It was at the casino last Friday, and I got to watch Becky and Kayla from our Family Resource Center, and then Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe Partners were there to talk about our partnership between the two of them and how they're working it together. Not just with the Family Resource Center, but with all of public health and how that's working. We did talk about legislative updates through there. One of the big things is looking at assisting hospitals when they need help. So they were talking about one child that was placed in an emergency room, and they had to clear 16 beds in that emergency room because of that one child being there, that they were so distracted that there's no place for these kids to go. So it was really informative, and it speaks volumes as the things that we need to talk to the legislative committees about when we go down there. So I will say that after Becky left that meeting, I had 3 other county commissioners come up to me and tell me that they wanted an employee just like her because she did such an amazing job, and just the way that she talked and the things that she does to help to promote our residents. We're blessed. So those are my others. Anybody else have any others?
Just a reminder that the next meeting, we're back here in Sandstone.
Right.
When? On the 5th of March.
Because of elections, we swapped March. So our first meeting is going to be here in Sandstone, and the second meeting in March will be in Pine City.
Thank you for bringing that up. I have a question.
Also, the AMC Annual Leadership Summit is coming up. Lodging deadline is February 28th. So if you are interested in going to that, it is going to be March 27th to the 29th. And let Debbie know so she can get your reservation set up for that and get you registered. Anything else? All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.